Hello everyone and welcome to the Careers Chat.
Hello, Constantine. Are you enjoying the summer?
I wish we were somewhere hot, I must admit, I'm really envious reading and hearing stories of the heat wave in Europe. Talking about heat, what is the hot topic for graduating students?
I guess speaking to some of the students and graduates who are coming to see me, it's pay negotiation.
Ooh, I just had a query about it. What is pay negotiation?
Basically, what it is where somebody will offer you a certain salary or talk about a salary range, or also might say to you, how much are you expecting to get paid in the role? And I think a lot of people kind of panic a little bit and go, oh, what do I say there?
And what do they say? How do they prepare for this question?
Sometimes you'll see there'll be a pay range, and so you've got to navigate where you feel you are in that pay range. So it could be something like 30 to 35, 40 to 60, whatever, and it just depends on the level of experience, knowledge, some qualifications. So you've got to really understand your sector, the company you've applied to and hopefully getting the job with, and what the job actually does. There's got to be an element of self-awareness, sector and opportunity awareness. So all of that comes together. So you need to do some research and you need to be realistic. I think that's the key thing I would say to someone.
Yeah, being realistic. So where do you go? Where do you search?
Best resource, and I'm going to say it because I'm a member of this professional body, is the Prospects website. So you go on occupational profiles. It's all there for you. They talk about starting salary, they talk about mid-range, they talk about very experienced hires. I think you can't assume I've got a master's, therefore it doesn't matter, I've got no work experience. You've got to understand what those different ranges means, and the middle range, which I think a lot of graduates who've got a lot of experience would probably go back to, or even the higher range. But if you've come from your first degree straight into your master's, probably are still looking at grad jobs, and you're going to get paid quite a bit less.
So that relates also to what our postgraduate students say. So many of them come with work experience, and so they should adopt a different strategy in pay negotiations, correct? So what advice will you give for them? Where do they do the research?
So again, they can actually look still at prospects, but they could also look at websites like Glassdoor, because I think what you've got to do is pitch it to the level and have an understanding of what your worth is, both from your work experience and your qualification. Sometimes I'll meet postgrads who are career changing, so they will have experience and skills, but not quite 100% aligned with where they're going to. And I think it's up to them to be able to explain their transferable skills there. So I think that's the key thing to bear in mind there. But a lot of this is confidence. And confidence isn't about demanding. Confidence is just about knowing this is who I am. This is what I'm worth. I always recommend to somebody who's doing a pay negotiation to think what is their base, the minimum that they will accept, on what is the figure they really want, and then what is a figure maybe a little bit higher than that. Because if you do any kind of negotiation, if you go low and they go, yeah, you can't go higher from there. But by the same token, you can't be unrealistic and say, for a job that is paying mid-range 55k, oh, I want 60, because that just looks, oh, you don't know the market. You're not being realistic. But if you go in and say 45 and you really wanted 50, then there's no room to go. So it's another one of these career skills you're gonna have to practice and refine and hone. And like I said, it all comes down to awareness, self-awareness, opportunity awareness, and confidence, and knowing you are wanted by that organisation. And if you've got that understanding of what they're looking for, then you're going to be more successful.
Thank you. This is great. So my key takeaways, or for the listeners, will be know the market, know yourself, know the organization, develop your negotiation skills.
Yeah, have a practice.
Go for it, and tailor it to the right employer and the right discussion. But is it okay to negotiate your salary in the UK? Is this acceptable?
Unless you've been explicitly told, no, this is a done deal and this is the rate. I've gone for a job, obviously it's an education sector, where the person who's offering me the job said, I'm sorry, we've got to start you off on this rate, this is just the policy. Then there's no room to negotiate. I'd also say to you, don't just think about the money.
Yeah.
Think about the additional benefits that they're offering you. Think about what they're worth. So, are you going to get a car? Are you going to get medical insurance? Whatever the organisation is offering you, and some of these things you can't really
So
define
is
them in
this
terms of
something
monetary
you
value.
can negotiate at the
But
job if you
maybe
additional
less at the
perks?
job interview, more at the offer stage. Or you can say, well, there is this professional qualification. Or for a lot of people with vocational direction, they'll want to know about chartership. Will you see me through chartership? Will I have a mentor? Now, again, that's going to increase your potential earning value. So as well, and obviously with your masters, there is going to be some elements of that you're fast tracked on. So you've already helped yourself. So that's another selling point there. But it's thinking about getting the balance right.
This sounds really reasonable. That's good. But I still see students who are anxious about entering pay negotiations. What will your advice be for them?
Okay, so I would say deep breath. Know that you are worth what that rate is. Know what that rate is. And treat it as a conversation. And, don't carve yourself or push yourself into the corner. But this is something that time will give you confidence.
And what happens if you don't get your requested pay? If you don't receive the pay offer you were after?
I think only you can answer that question. And if it's not going to be enough for you to live on, then I think you have to say, okay, I'm going to go to somewhere else. If it's not as high as you would have wanted, but you think actually this is something with all the additional benefits that I'm getting, I can take. I can't say to somebody, it must be this and no more or no less. I think you have to, like with any part of a careers process, you've got to own it. Like I said, if you know what the market rate is and it's quite close to that and you're comfortable with, take it, use it as a stepping stone onto other things.
Do you think this will impact on the relationship with your employer?
Again, it depends on the organisation, but for the majority, I think they're quite comfortable with sensible wage negotiations. I think as long as it's all rooted in knowledge and understanding of what the market is, what the market rate is, I think you're fine.
Thank you, Chef. I think this has been incredibly helpful. Thank you very much. And
Welcome.
I want you to finish with your 3 top tips for successful pay negotiations.
Do your research. Believe in yourself. Yeah.
Confidence.
Yeah, definitely have self-confidence. And also think of where you're going to start your pitch. Don't go too low. Don't go too high. Go with the mid-range, but always go a little bit higher so they can negotiate you down and you still get the figure you want.
Okay, this is great. Thank you very much.
You're
It was great chatting to you today. Bye-bye.
Always.